Thank you for listening to Third Watch News Update. As I spent a good portion of the morning this afternoon studying and reading, also Secretary Esper, who is still asking questions about the coronavirus. And I was talking to somebody, and thank you, by the way, for those of you who know that we got sponsored by the Butler VA last November. Apparently a lot of things have been coming out in the news that we had been very suspicious for about the last, I don't know, 3 years. In the last 3 years, I was wondering, like, what would happen if there was a mass event? Like, what would they create a field hospital? And do you know that as I'm sitting there watching the news, like, I could not believe what I was seeing is the Samaritan's Purse was creating a field hospital. That was exactly what I was thinking about. And this, I wrote this report about 2 years ago when I was living at my old apartment, and I had what I was, I guess, a field hospital to me looks like not MASH, but it would look exactly like what Samaritan's Purse created. So the news report comes out that President Trump, he defunded the program from the World Health Organization because of their deceptive comments about support and their support for China, and until further investigation, and then gives the money to Samaritan's Purse. And I'm like, wow, this is so amazing. We live in amazing times. And in 2011, I remember thinking to myself, like, the kind of news broadcasts that were coming out, and I stated earlier, there was a time that I was leaning more on the never Trumper side at one point. Like, I kind of was leaning that way for a while until I went to a Trump rally, and I was like, my God, look, this is for real. Like, this isn't a fake anything. And when I started to study and follow the Trump rally, that's when I became a Trump fan. And do you know, I bought $25 worth of signs, and somebody ripped them off of my front yard. So again, I was convinced more and more that everything that President Trump has been saying is true. It was literally happening right in my front yard. And then somebody came over to attack me, and a top admiral I spoke to 2 days ago told me that I was specifically targeted, and I'm like, oh my God, the whole thing is, I would have gone along with a lot of things. But once you get a news story, and then the more the story just continues to unravel, and this happened to me, and I'm not even really. If you think your vote doesn't count, go buy some Trump signs and put them on your front yard and see what happens. Because I have a police report about it. Stolen signs that were shoved under the house I was living in. I lived in a triplex, a house that is 3 apartments, and all of my Trump signs were shoved under the porch, and I got police reports to prove it. So most people are always looking for proof of information, like how to prove it. You go and call the Butler police and get the police report, and if you think what I'm saying is not true, go get the police report, because there are a lot of people in journalism that are biased, and there's a lot of biased opinions about China. Do you know I wrote an email to Jesse Waters today about something here locally, about an organization that owns these buildings, and there have been some very odd experiences in these buildings. And before everything, when I moved here, it was so cold to move into the apartment, because I do have a decent apartment. It's not big enough, but there have been some odd situations I was put in. In fact, one of the members of the team that I talked to I want to talk to the therapist because there were some assault issues that went on in my apartment in October, just as I was trying to have a pro-life rally. I was being attacked by a church pastor down the street, and the whole thing was is just to be able to borrow some space to have a pro-life rally type event, and not one of those people would be willing to help, and it's not one. And these people have the space, they have the monetary assistance to help us, and listen, it might sound crazy, but the thing is if you ask for help and they turn you away and then turn around and make it as if they help everybody, that is not true. Well, I met some really great people, and it turns out a lot of those people are they're good people. They're not people that are purposely out to hurt anybody. You know, when we talk to journalists, though, they have to get past the bias. A lot of that bias is created over a period of time. It's because they believe something long enough. If you're told something long enough, you start to believe it, right? Well, this is why something Mrs. Trump, yeah, the First Lady said that is true about substance and style. That's exactly what we were studying on in our English literature about substance and style. So we created this look based on what Melania Trump said, substance and style, because it has to have substance and style for it to make sense. And that's exactly, I mean, I thought that was an incredible statement. You realize how intelligent Mrs. Trump is. She's a very smart woman for saying that, because most people don't realize this, but people get desperate and they start to wonder like how they're going to get back into the news story. But they have to reformat some of this stuff before they go back on air, because a lot of the people that left the broadcast business is because they realize all the lying that's gone on in MSM. I mean, we used to believe a lot of the MSN. We used to believe a lot of the stuff. Remember that. So that's why it takes a long time to read the articles and listen to the reports and look at the economic structure. Like, my ex-boyfriend is a financial planner, and he was so concerned it would turn out to be much like the Great Depression. I'm just saying that there is an economic strategy, and they're going to strategize. And this is why this is why baseball needs to be back on air, because it's about strategy. And I have a friend that's a coach, and he delivers a great strategy to invest into your people and children early. And it's an investment strategy. Baseball is America, and it's not China, by the way. And his name is Coach Dave Kurloff. His son just made it to the Minnesota Twins. So just goes to prove how wrong so many of us could have been easily. But you know what? I sat there and waited. My ex-boyfriend became a financial planner, and now it's worth $2 million. So just goes to show you that you gotta listen to the people around you. Please support us at the Style Project Radio. We have a great broadcast coming up with the Style Project, and we're going to show you some of the things we picked. A look I think is going to be very popular. That coat, the Melania coat, it would be hand knitted, and some of these other coats, these are just examples and ideas that I picked out. These are just picks that I saw from Kohl's. Also, those are Bass shoes for men, and we like the corduroy sports coat look. Also for young women, the sports coat look looks really cute too. I saw Julia Roberts was wearing it, and she looked cute in it. So some great stuff coming up at Style Project Radio, because you're going to stay tuned for more. Just as a follow-up to some of the other old news, because we're going to wrap it up here with the news broadcast. Our field report is a follow-up from the Fox News story about what happened from the time there was a predicted an assault, a mass casualties was the broadcast on it. So I put the link below so that you could listen to the video from Fox News. If you could please support us, Upstage Design Team at Style Project Radio, Pittsburgh, not Paris. That's Fashion Week this fall for 2021. Our radio broadcast will be on air for June 2020. Oh, God, I can't wait. We're going to have music. Because really what we do is design stuff. We don't really do radio broadcasts, but we just kind of jumped in there just to tell you that Alyssa Milano is so wrong. I mean, the double talk from Alyssa Milano is ridiculous. Like, they're all protecting each other, and that was the whole thing with the Weinstein scandal. It's like, they all end up protecting each other anyway. So, that doesn't mean that Hollywood stars are dumb. Because I like what Ashton Kutcher is doing. Like, I support Ashton Kutcher's Digital Defender program. I just think there's a lot of people in Hollywood that they're out to lunch. And Alyssa Milano, she used to be, I don't know, she used to be an American sweetheart. My God, the conversation has changed so much. The fact that Joe Biden assaults somebody and then the Me Too movement is protecting this, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. When women are assaulted and then they turn around and defend an offender, it doesn't work that way. That's why we wanted detectives run the crisis centers instead of these women groups, because it doesn't work that way. It can't. They have to go case by case. That's generally what we've been talking about for the period that when any time somebody punches or hits somebody, that's a legal matter, and that's the point. Is no one's allowed to hit and smack somebody else's daughter or kid or another adult, or it becomes an assault matter. And to be honest, it becomes a protection order matter, actually. That's just the way it is. That's how the real story is. You're going to want to hear more from our new broadcast, The Real Story, and also Style Project Radio.